Greetings, everybody. We're going to play Two Truths and a Lie. J. Cole went double platinum with no features. Kendrick Lamar is the best rapper right now. Dave Gettleman is a good GM. Can you spot the lie? I think it's abundantly clear. Dave Gettleman is a garbage GM for obvious reasons. If you have any form of social media, we're going to discuss that garbage-ass trade in the midst of the pod here. We're also going to be talking about the big picture as far as free agency goes, at least to this point. Unrestricted free agency starts tomorrow at 4. So we're going to touch what's happened so far, which has been a lot. I've been breathing into a brown paper bag for about an hour now. So let's get into it.
What a time to be alive. The New York Football Giants are currently in rebuilding mode. Let's go, baby. Just was announced that Odell Beckham Jr., star wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in the league, was traded to Cleveland for a first and third round pick, and Jabril Peppers, former Heisman candidate, one of my favorite players of all time. He's a great college football player. Didn't really work out too well in the NFL. Still really young. But I don't think that's enough to get Odell. What about you, Bennett? Are you on suicide watch? Or?
I'm chewing gum because I'm about to talk that shit. You feel me? Garbage-ass trade. Dave Gettleman was quoted as saying about 2 weeks ago, we didn't sign him to trade him. And there he goes, out the door to Cleveland, $16 million in dead cap later. No Odell Beckham later. I'm just still trying to process what the hell is going on. So you ditch your star wide receiver. You ditch Landon Collins. Before Dave Gettleman walked in the door, we didn't have Saquon Barkley. That was an easy pick. My 4-year-old sister could have walked into the draft or into that situation room and made that pick for the Giants. So not that hard for him to make that pick, really. I mean, could have gone quarterback, but that's neither here nor there. Discussion for another time. But before Dave Gettleman walked in the door, we still had Landon Collins and Odell Beckham. So I'm led to believe Dave Gettleman is a sleeper agent for another organization. The Mueller investigation is going to look into that here pretty soon. But I'm just still trying to process this. It's aside from all the reactionary antics, I'm pretty upset with it. You know, a guy who's given his heart and soul to the fans of New York and that franchise just gets shipped out. It's easy. Football's a business. Nah, that guy left it all out there every time. Had a great relationship with our kicking net. Sad to see that kind of evaporate, but
did not have a great relationship with the water boy, though.
No, iffy.
Like
He's
water.
more of a kicking net guy. I feel that as well, but
I just want to say that when this trade happened, I immediately FaceTimed Bennett to talk about it. We were on the phone for 5 minutes, and I don't think I said a word. I think I just laughed the entire time because we've been joking about this for the past 2 weeks that the Giants are just going to trade Odell. And I said last podcast, I think, what would you do if they trade Saquon Barkley? And, I mean, at this point, you might as well do it. Whatever. This team could have been so fun, with Odell and Barkley to build for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And
without Eli Manning, too.
Yeah. I don't know what you expect to get out of that first-round pick, but it's not going to be Odell Beckham.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you expect to get out of Jabril Peppers, but it's not going to be Landon Collins. They're trying to fill voids with things. I just got a notification from Bleacher Report that they are currently paying 9 players $33 million that aren't on the team. So
I don't have much comment about that besides the Giants fan base, to the extent that I'm a part of that anymore. Gonna sleep on that one for sure.
Yeah.
They will be in front of
You're wearing a Yankees jersey. The Yankees start soon.
Oh, thank you, Noah. You've just taken a lot off of my shoulders. Quick, quick little ad here. The New York Yankees start March 31st, or no, March 28th, I believe it is. Baltimore Orioles opening day versus the New York Yankees. Our bullpen looks great. Lineup looks great. Got a lot of depth. We're going to be missing Sir DD for this year. Had to get Tommy John, but I am looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But back to the
football.
murder. Yeah, back to the murder scene that is the New York Giants.
So what else happened is Landon Collins signs a 6-year deal, $84 million for the Washington Redskins.
Mm-hmm.
You lose him, lose your top defensive player, and then I would say next guy on the line. Who do you think the next best last year defensive player was besides LZ?
I want to say Vernon.
Yeah.
Some people will say Ogletree, but his performances were flukes. He couldn't tackle worth a damn most of the season. Had a few tipped interceptions.
So
kudos.
Landon Collins, best defensive player last season.
Yeah.
Olivier Vernon, second best.
For 11 games, he was great.
You lose him too, and a 4th-round pick. I just want to point that out.
Oof, major blemish.
To Cleveland for Kevin Zeitler and a 5th-round pick. I thought that was a bad trade. I didn't like that trade at all, because I don't know what the Giants are doing at this point. I don't see why you would even make this trade.
Right.
You want to have at least one piece to build around defensively. Like
Right.
I don't know.
I love
I'm so
Kevin Zeitler.
dumbfounded.
Yeah, it's easy to be dumbfounded at the trade, but the guy we're getting, Kevin Zeitler.
No, Zeitler's good. He's like the
absolutely phenomenal.
top rated.
I'm bewildered by the trade just as much as you are, but I sleep better knowing that we have one of the best right guards in the league now.
Yeah.
But to
But
your
you
point,
also lose one of the best defensive linemen.
Vernon did not deserve to be traded. No, I mean, that's really where the business side of this thing comes in. I mean, sometimes you just have to do talent for talent, and you while you lose a talented player on one side, you gain a tremendously talented player on the other side. It really is a very duplicitous thing. The NFL being the business that it is, but also getting rid of that talent and getting talent in return. I mean, that's just how things work, unfortunately. I mean, I loved OV as a player. I obviously love Landon Collins as a player. Guy was the heart and soul of the defense last year, and he really is a warrior. He tried to get the most out of the team even when there was not, much to be had. It just blows my mind how Dave Gettleman walks in the door. We get Barkley. That's great. He's going to be the best running back here in a few years. If he's not already, he's definitely in the conversation. That goes without saying. But Dave Gettleman walks in the door, and within a year and some change, 2 superstars are gone.
Yeah.
So as a Giants fan,
It's
I'm
like,
just
you know what it
blown
reminds me
away.
of?
What's that?
And I'm so happy to see you go through this because Chip Kelly did the same thing to me. He, took away my heart and soul.
Ripped your heart out.
Yeah, right. And we'll get into that, but it's good to see the Giants, like, after kicking our ass for the past 10 years,
Going
finally it's changing.
Yeah, I just want to make.
I want to ask you, where do you think, after all this happened, do you think they still go Haskins?
I mean,
Or do you think, because look at your guys' defense.
I mean, Montez Sweat's going to be there at 6. That's a name that really, catches my eye. Guy ran a 4.40. He's got an amazing get off. Really uses his hands well. Great bend for his size.
And there's going to be quarterbacks there in the second.
Yeah, the thing is, I would like to see Dwayne Haskins get drafted, on the other side of it for this reason. If we actually draft a guy with high octane draft capital, a first round pick number 6, we might actually develop him instead of cut him and send him to the Jets. Who knows? Maybe this quarterback we draft doesn't hit a parked cop car.
Maybe.
We have a bad history of developing quarterbacks, and as 2 superstars walk out the door, we can leave it here. I'm just so pissed. I don't even want to go any further with this Giants discussion right now. It's just a lot to process. But for all intents and purposes, let's leave it here. Gettleman walks in the door. Barkley, cool. Gettleman has been in the building for a year now. 2 superstars are leaving within a matter of days.
Almost 3.
While keeping a quarterback who is, it's pretty much like that episode of SpongeBob when Mr. Krabs gets walked across the street by that Boy Scout. That's how I'm going to feel when Eli Manning walks out there every Sunday for my team.
Yeah.
For now, my team. But 2 superstars walk out, and you keep that guy. Has one double-digit win season in the past 5 years. $23 million cap hit. Giants Daily, one of my favorite Twitter pages, said it's literally malpractice to keep him. And it is. $23 million cap hit for a guy who has done nothing since the early 2010s. It just... I just don't know where this organization is trying to go directionally. I don't understand the philosophy. It's not very clear. Antoine Bethea, cool. It's a bright spot. Julius Peppers, I mean, they give us some answers in the secondary, but still a lot more questions. Jabril Peppers.
You wish it was Julius.
Stop. I primed Julius Peppers draft champion card. Just a lot more questions and answers right now. I'm just still trying to process this whole thing.
You're still
preliminarily very disappointed.
You were drinking on the way over here too.
That's reckless, but I was probably hyperventilating to myself in the darkness of my car, listening to old Drake ballads.
All right, so let's move on to what you said on FaceTime is your new favorite team. So
Yeah,
the
for
Cleveland Browns are loading up. I mean, they get Odell, they get Olivier Vernon, both from the Giants. And now they also signed Sheldon Richardson, one of the best D linemen in the
guys,
league.
no doubt.
They signed him to a 3-year, $36 million contract. They are, like you said when you first got here, they're in the conversation for Earl Thomas. They're just like, I feel like every big name free agent
They
like,
were in it for Roby as well. Who
Yeah.
signed with the Texans.
Yeah, and you look at their D line. You have Myles Garrett. Now you have Vernon on the other side. You're putting Sheldon Richardson inside. I'm sure they could find someone else to go inside. Then you have I forget his first name, but Randall, the defensive back, Demarius Randall, Denzel Ward.
Yep.
And then on offense, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry, Antonio Callaway, and now Odell.
Yeah.
And then David Njoku. It's just like
Kareem Hunt, who people tend to forget
Kareem
about.
Hunt. Yeah, Kareem
Duke
Hunt's
Johnson's
there.
a great receiving back. I mean, they are.
Duke Johnson's out.
Duke Johnson just left Cleveland.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw on a graphic Duke Johnson is a weapon.
No, I'm pretty sure he's gone.
Well,
Because the Eagles were in talks with him.
Ooh, somebody's gonna get a good one then. That just goes to show how loaded this free agent news cycle is. It's easy to gloss over little details like that, like guys leaving a team when there's just a ridiculous influx of people.
I mean, trade
joining
interest.
teams and getting signed.
Trade interest.
Oh, trade interest.
Yeah.
Okay, so tentatively he's
Yeah,
still there.
he's
I
still
mean,
there.
there's just so much they can do. I mean, they're
See, what happens
spoiled.
is I follow like 14 Eagles news pages on Instagram, and they all post the same thing at the same time.
Oh,
so I
yeah.
just get flooded with this information. Like when we signed Malik Jackson, it was just like or Deshaun Jackson when we traded for him. It's like all the old videos of him returning the kick against the Giants. It's like, dude, we get it. All right, cool. Like, you guys are all the same people. But do you want to talk about the Browns anymore? Or, I mean, it's just it goes without saying
it's
they're
therapeutic
going
for me.
They're
I mean,
going to be the top team in the
They
AFC
immediately become the top dogs, no pun
Yeah.
intended, of the AFC North. I mean,
and
the
they still
Ravens-
have cap. They still have a lot of it.
no cap. They still have a lot of cap. I
Yeah.
mean, the Ravens, they lost Mosley, Zadarius Smith,
We'll get into that.
a few others. Well, let's bounce over to Oakland though.
Yeah. All right. So Oakland Raiders, John Gruden and the boys, they trade for Antonio Brown from the Steelers. We were just talking about that with Christian Amici on the last podcast. If you haven't heard that, go check it out. So they trade Pittsburgh for 3rd round pick and a 5th round pick, which great price, bargain right there,
Yeah,
good deal.
That's insane.
And then they signed him to a 3-year, $50 million contract, $30 million guaranteed. Which a lot of people at first are like, why would he want to go to like such a shitty team? And at first I thought the same thing. I was like, why would he go to Oakland?
I think you verbatim said that on the last podcast.
Yeah.
As I called him going to the Raiders.
Yeah. And well, good job, Woj.
Guilty skulls.
But I at first I was like, I don't understand. But then you kind of like sit there and think about it. One of the best draft analysts ever has 3 or 4 top picks in like the top 35 of the draft. You have Derek Carr, who's a solid quarterback. You have John Gruden, who during his time with the Bucs was considered like one of the best coaches in the league. And then now he's just a meme. But who knows? He might actually be a good coach, and we're just making fun of him. And then they signed Trent Brown, one of the best interior, or is he a tackle? He's a tackle, right?
Trent Brown is a tackle.
Yeah.
He's one of those that can kind of convert to the interior if need be. But for all intents and purposes, with Kelechi
He's a lineman.
Yeah, with Kelechi Osemele walking out the door and Colton Miller looking like an absolute dumpster fire last year, I tend to believe he's going to be a tackle.
So they signed Trent Brown to a 4-year, $66 million contract, $36 million of that guaranteed. Makes him the highest paid O lineman in the league.
Wow.
Which says a lot because some of these
100%.
O linemen get paid.
Paid.
Yeah.
I mean, just a quick point about that. Look at what happened to Nate Solder last year. We gave him a big contract. I was unsure about it at first. He got better as the season went on. I think there's a lot to work with there. The left side of the Giants line looks decent. The rest of the team, like we said, is an absolute dumpster fire right now. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, and I'm talking about it. I have a problem.
It's still lingering.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let's move on to my team.
Philly?
Yeah, let's move on to Philly.
Yeah, but shout out to Dante Scarnecchia, though, for getting those guys paid. They leave New England and get paid. It's payday. That's what it's all about. Payday bars suck, though. Just a take.
The big news around the Philly offseason is what's going on with Nick Foles. So he signs with Jacksonville, 4-year deal, $88 million, 50 of that guaranteed.
Wow.
Which is, I'm so happy for him, and I'll get into that after I give all these names that we signed and traded for and everything. Then we trade for Deshaun Jackson, which I just found out when we traded for him, he led the league in yards per catch last year. Which a lot of people say he's washed up. Obviously not.
He's back.
So we traded for him for a 6th-round pick and a 2020 7th-round pick, bargain. Then Jordan Hicks, one of our best defensive players, linebacker, signs a 4-year deal, $36 million, $20 million guaranteed. With the, I didn't even write down what.
Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I didn't even write down who
Guy
we
goes
signed.
from getting indicted on insider trading to getting a big ass contract.
No, that's not him.
Who is it? Am I
That's
getting guys
Michael
mixed-
Kendricks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Michael Kendricks is done. He's never going to play football. ever
Damn,
again.
he got Jordan Belforted. Damn.
Yeah, he's done.
Wow. He's been away for a while.
But then Michael Bennett went on, I forget what it was, Good Morning NFL or some talk show, and they asked him about taking a pay cut. And he was like, I don't need a pay cut. I want a pay raise. And then literally an hour later, Howie Roseman, we are accepting offers on Michael Bennett. And
That
then
escalated quickly.
He's shipped out to New England for a 2020 5th-round pick. And then we pick up Malik Jackson, interior D lineman, from the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 3-year deal, $30 million. I'll tell you what, Howie Roseman is, like, you guys have one of the worst GMs. Howie Roseman is on a very short list of, like, the best GMs in the league.
Dorsey, Chris Ballard.
He's one of the,
Mayock.
like, he should be a household name GM. You know,
Yeah, no.
there's not that many household name GMs.
Oh, I see it for what it is. I mean, proximity in division. Howie Roseman looks like a freaking genius time and time again.
We were last place in cap space by like a mile at the beginning of the offseason, and we made $14 million appear out of thin air by making guys restructure contracts and everything. And now
teams are doing that.
We just signed Deshaun Jackson and Malik Jackson, the Jackson twins, and last year we really struggled without having a deep threat. We tried forcing Aguilar into a deep threat position, and
I don't think that's his thing.
Yeah, it didn't work out, and we signed Mike Wallace. That didn't work out. He got hurt.
Washed.
Yep, and
Legitimately
Deshaun
washed.
Jackson, like, this is where you belong. And like I said earlier about the Chip Kelly thing,
Yeah.
he should have never left this team.
We've talked about this time and time again. Like, he's gonna come back. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of time, and I'm
It's like
glad it worked out the way it did
it's like
for your sake.
when LeBron went to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you always knew LeBron was going to come.
Yeah, like Tampa Bay was just kind of like a thing.
Tampa
you
Bay
know.
and Washington for Deshaun Jackson was just like college. Like, he just went away for college for like 4
Yeah,
years.
like
and now
those
he's like, all right.
places, you know, they're all that contract money's in his bank account, but Philly's in his heart, and that's
Yeah.
where he is now. I mean,
And-
sweet deal for you guys too.
I think so. For those of you that don't know, I work at a lacrosse store. We have reps for different brands come in all the time. The Under Armour rep came in, and we were talking about Torrey Smith because he worked closely with Torrey Smith. And he said when he signed with Philly, that he noticed, or not noticed, that all the players around the league notice the good teams and they ring chase, and it's like not really as frowned upon as it is in like basketball. You know what I mean? Like when KD signed with the Warriors, everybody shit on him, but like
Rightfully so.
football players don't really get that.
No.
And he was like, yeah, Torrey, like he was like, yeah, I noticed that Philly was going to win the Super Bowl next year, so I signed with them to get that ring. Like that, I think Deshaun Jackson realizes that. Like
yeah,
Philly,
I think that's what
he's
Eric
like Philly's
Weddle's
going to
doing
be good. Yeah, exactly. LA, they're going to be good.
100%.
It's, I mean,
Tyrann Mathieu with the Chiefs, you could argue.
yeah,
that
exactly,
Too.
exactly.
It's just
Michael Bennett,
Patriots. Yeah, I mean,
going
it's
to
just
the Patriots.
it's just much less noticed in the
Odell
NFL.
going to the Browns.
You're absolutely right. I mean, yeah, that's one way to look at it. You
Dude,
know, just
the
as a gut
Browns.
reaction.
What do you think going into the season the Browns' odds are for Super Bowl?
I mean, you got to be optimistic with what's there, but the AFC is just stacked. I mean, it's literally becoming like
But the AFC North, like,
oh, that's a cakewalk, obviously. But I'm just saying, in the grand scheme of things, the AFC's stacked.
unless Le'Veon goes to Baltimore, and
I don't think they're gonna pay him.
Baltimore ends up signing Earl Thomas, Clinton Dix, Golden Tate, Sue, and Justin Houston.
Yeah, they're gonna have to like borrow money from the government.
We'll get
at
into that
point.
Baltimore situation in a minute.
Yeah, hopes are very high in Cleveland. You know, there's a lot to look forward to.
And
there.
you have Baker, who
even on paper, yeah, you got your franchise quarterback. I mean,
have
that
the
says a lot
hiccups.
more than the other teams. You know.
I have the hiccups. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to announce this right now. We're back. The Eagles are back. Last year was a down year. I admit it. I thought we were going to do really good, but we didn't. That rhymed. But I really love this team. I think last year gave us even more of like everybody slept on us last year. Or everybody's going to sleep on us this year because of how poorly we met expectations last year. So, I'm ready.
Thank you for that advertisement,
I'm ready.
son.
Yeah. NFC East looks like a cakewalk.
It's an absolute dumpster fire. The Cowboys have done
Cowboys.
absolutely
Yeah.
nothing. They have a pretty
Unless they
decent cap
sign
situation.
Earl Thomas, I'm
It's looking bleak.
not
at this,
scared at
looking
all.
bleak at this point. I'm thinking for Earl Thomas, either Cleveland or San Francisco, or Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland or San Francisco at this point. I think that's kind of.
Oh yeah, by the way,
down to.
I want to mention this.
Yes.
Also, so there's been a trend on this podcast ever since we started in late November, early December, that everything I say on this podcast eventually comes true or eventually is reported. I said something on this podcast about the Ravens not being able to develop wide receiver draftees, and
Become a common talk.
John Harbaugh literally came out and said that they've had a
conceded it.
yeah. There was something else that I said on here that came true. I forget. There's been a lot.
Nostradamus.
On our first mock draft, for those of you that didn't listen, because it is currently our worst viewed podcast, because it's about 3 hours long and halfway through we
Yeah.
start hallucinating. But for those of you that didn't listen, I gave the pick of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to the Philadelphia Eagles. On our most recent mock draft, we were just messing around, made a mock draft. Who did I pick?
For the Eagles?
Yeah, it's right in front of you. Look real quick, because I'm pretty sure I'm right.
David Montgomery, running
Yep.
back.
Mm-hmm. So the Philadelphia Eagles have met with both those draft prospects recently. So yeah, I'm a genius, guys, and I belong in a front office somewhere. So Howie, if you're listening,
No,
hook a brother up.
Do you know Sean McVay though?
I've heard of him.
I think your odds are pretty good.
Yeah.
So
I've definitely heard of him. I've seen him on TV a few times.
you know, Noah, you could come into the Giants front office.
Yeah.
You know, you won't totally sabotage the team like a little bitch.
I have more credentials than Gettleman.
And yeah,
All right.
probably do. You might have a driver's license. He doesn't.
He's not allowed to drive.
No, he's not even allowed to stay home alone. Dave Gettleman is an inept
not allowed.
cuck
He's not allowed to make a bag of popcorn.
by himself. No, he's a
Yeah.
fire hazard. Absolute, just buffoon of a human being.
Oh,
I've talked enough about this. Where are we now? Oh, Baltimore Ravens. How
Baltimore
nice.
Ravens. All right, so what's going on? What do you think's happening? Because they cut Weddle,
Yeah,
Terrell Suggs going to Arizona,
weird.
Zadarius Smith going to Green Bay,
Overpaid.
C.J. Mosley going to Jets.
Overpaid. Overpaid.
All three of these guys, these guys, I mean, were all key parts of that defense last
Yep.
year. Where do you see this team going in the offseason? We've talked about it with two Ravens fans on air, and I think the consensus mindset was
Right.
you gotta keep Zadarius Smith, you gotta keep Mosley, and Weddle and Suggs are your captains or leaders of that
Yeah.
defense,
It's not looking good.
and they're gone.
I'd
And it's
imagine-
it's also it's worth mentioning that this is the first year without Ozzie in that front office.
Yeah, Eric DaCosta is not having a good run of it so far. I mean, to not to dunk on him so much early. I mean,
Also, didn't Jones get traded or something? Or cut? Adam Jones, like the baseball player?
yeah, he's on the Diamondbacks now.
Yeah, so that all
Baltimore is
happened.
having a
Yeah, that all
tough go
happened
of
in the
it,
same week. That's crazy.
Yeah, I really feel for my Baltimore people. Well, I am a Baltimore person considering I live 35 minutes away from the city, but for my Ravens fans, yeah, it's tough. I mean, seeing
I don't feel for you
CJ
guys at all.
seeing CJ Mosley walk, Zadarius Smith walk, but granted, I mean Zadarius Smith got overpaid. Green Bay paid him. It was like 4 years, 66, 34 guaranteed. Like Jesus Christ, he had
Even
one
Weddle.
decent season.
12.5 million for 2 years.
That's not terrible.
I mean,
the Giants gave Antoine Bethea 2 years, $20 million. That's stupid as shit. Give him a 1-year deal. See if he actually is still worth a damn and
right.
can walk after a game, and then we'll see from there. 1 year, $7.5 million.
Deion
would've been
Buchanan
great.
signed for a ridiculous amount too, and I was
Tampa
like,
Bay.
oh my god.
Quan Alexander's on the 49ers now too, so they got Quan Alexander, D Ford. God forbid they draft Nick Bosa. I mean, they'll be loaded. Get Earl, shit. All the prospects are free,
yeah.
so you're still getting me
Well,
excited. but
we say that, but Jameis Winston
Yeah.
is their quarterback.
it's
so.
just crazy how pretty much all the core pieces of Baltimore's defense walked,
yeah.
and that has been the hallmark of their team for years. I saw a figure. This is week 1, 2019 will be the first week for the Baltimore Ravens without Suggs, Ray Lewis, or Ed Reed. The two, Ed Reed and Ray Lewis, obviously retired. Suggs is moving on to Arizona. Don't quite get it. I guess he just wants to be home. But, good for him. I hope he finishes out his career strong. Class
I
act.
thought Suggs wanted to always stay with the Ravens. Like, I thought that was a thing. Like
A lot of
Ravens.
minds have been changing this offseason, I mean, we just
And that's
traded
another
our best player away.
That brings
for
me
no
back
reason.
to that talk about the Under Armour rep talking about Torrey Smith. He said that when he went to Philly, he was considering going back to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Ozzie called him and was like, yeah, we're definitely interested in having you back. Torrey's like, cool. Offer me a contract. A few weeks go by, no contract came in. So Torrey's like, All right, see you guys later. And then Ozzy calls him again. Hey, like, we're interested. Okay, send a contract. A few days go by, no contract. So Torrey went to Philly.
What the hell?
Yeah. So like,
That's
I
weird.
think this might be a thing that like Baltimore just thinks they can, you know, let guys walk and be like, hey, we're interested in you. We're interested.
Yeah, pull the trigger
And
then, exactly.
I don't know. There might not be any truth to that. The Under Armour rep might be blowing smoke up my ass. Who knows?
Could be sheer conjecture. I mean, it doesn't sound too far.
He also
from the
said
truth.
that Torrey Smith said that Wentz is or Foles is better than Wentz, and I was like, I think you're stirring shit. I think you're starting shit there.
That is a hype beast comment,
Mm-hmm.
for real. That's about as hype beast as it gets. Guy who finished
He
out
said,
Wentz's
he
work.
said that the wide receivers realized that Wentz is a tight end quarterback and not a wide receiver quarterback. And I was like, well, when you have Zach Ertz, who is a wide receiver, just
As
built like a tight end.
Yep.
Like, I was
So,
like,
yeah.
of course you're going to throw to him.
Yeah, when you have the second best tight end in the league, you got to throw to him.
When you have the best tight end, you got to throw it to him.
Kelsey's on the Chiefs, bud. Easy.
Yeah, he's on the Eagles.
Jason Kelsey's on the Eagles, but
Well-
that's sheer conjecture, honestly.
Zach
But I mean,
Ertz,
back to the Ravens.
Married to the
I
soccer
just,
player.
oh, she's clean, dude.
She's so hot.
Beautiful woman. Shout out to Mrs. Ertz.
I don't know her first name.
I'm not
but
gonna Tucker Carlson this podcast. Pretty lady. They're a great couple. I see them all over social media. You
Yep.
know, traveling the whole thing. They live it up.
What up? That's goals.
Yeah, oh, soup, dude. Be
Yeah.
rich and travel. Yeah, that's obviously.
No.
That's
I mean,
patently
like,
obvious. It's goals.
he's a football player. She's a soccer player. They like.
Oh yeah, that's some
they
high
like
school.
fly to each other's games from games.
That's
Like,
some high school like movie shit. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
But back to Baltimore. I've heard them linked strongly to Mark Ingram. That'd be a great signing for them.
Shout out Jack. He
Oh
called it.
yeah, Jack Eberhardt joined us a few weeks ago here. He definitely called it. You know, he if anyone would have an eye for a move like that. So, you know, big ups to him for being well ahead of the curve on that.
I saw him tweet about it too.
Oh yeah,
He, like, said he called it.
gotta pat yourself on the back when you make a proclamation like that for sure. But I've seen them strongly linked to him. I hope they go receiver, but
Yeah.
yeah, the draft is gonna tell a lot for them. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Ozzy's had a slew of great drafts. If the draft is any indication of what's going on so far, I know it's only been one day.
dad thinks that they are. He's like, they're definitely preparing for something. Like, they're clearing for something. And I was
Yeah.
like, if they get Le'Veon, they get Le'Veon. But I don't know how much Le'Veon helps your dismantled defense.
Yeah, and you need a line that can block for Le'Veon. I mean, that line
exactly.
that Le'Veon ran behind in Pittsburgh was ridiculous.
Yeah, and
They were
Le'Veon is
really
one of the, like, we see how he runs. He's a patient running back. He waits
Yeah.
for the blocks.
I
to
mean,
be
he's got
developed.
probably the best vision in the league, but
Exactly.
I mean, you can only do so much when your line's not that great.
Exactly.
I mean, Yonda, Jack said this too. Yonda's only getting older.
Uh-huh.
They need to rebuild that defense somehow, some way. You know, God forbid Devin Bush is there at 22, but that would be a stealer
That's a
right
zinger.
there. Yeah.
It's a zinger
that'd
and a
be
hoot nanny.
Yeah, that'd be something else. But I just there's so many ways you could go with this team now. I mean, they kind of just collapsed right in front of your eyes with all the defensive guys walking.
Yeah.
That's been the anchor of the team since 1996 when they came into being. But I hope they get Mark Ingram. That would be a great piece. You know, if they get Le'Veon Bell, obviously that's tremendous too. The check they have to write to him will not be tremendous. So
No.
maybe they'll lean more towards Mark Ingram so they can get some other pieces like maybe a Golden Tate. Some of the guys left on the safety market might flock to Baltimore as
Yeah.
well. Some D-backs out there in general. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. The free agency as a whole will be 100% open as of 4 tomorrow. So it's been an avalanche of news, signings, trades. I can't imagine how much more it's going to pick up from here. So just ready for all that news to come our way, as I'm sure all of you are.
All right. So,
Not going to milk this to death.
as you mentioned, it starts tomorrow at 4.
Yep.
Guys, we're still waiting on Le'Veon
Yeah.
Bell,
Run me some names.
Earl Thomas,
Yep.
HaHa Clinton Dix,
Yeah.
Justin Houston.
I like him to Baltimore for the price. I like Justin Houston to Baltimore for the price.
And then
Maybe
you
not
have,
both of them, but just in general.
You have Sue,
Uh-huh.
Mark Ingram,
Yep.
Tyrod Taylor. That's I said that like that's not big. Like
It could be an interesting.
it's
building,
interesting to
building
see
block.
where he goes.
Yeah.
Because I saw something going around Twitter that he might be put in a situation like he did in Cleveland where he goes to a team and that needs a quarterback, but they
Right.
end up drafting a quarterback as well. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, just kind of be like that fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then Golden Tate. That's like those are the big names, the household names.
Yep.
As I mentioned off air, a lot of the big name guys have already signed.
Yeah.
There's not that many big names left. There's a lot of like really good mediocre guys or like role players left, but like star players, there's only like
Yeah, like that top 5 you mentioned.
it goes Le'Veon Bell, Earl Thomas, and then Clinton Dix is the next guy. Like that's
Yeah.
not a household name.
He's a good. I mean,
He's
to
good.
Football,
Yeah.
To football wonks, he's a household name.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
But
I
for
mean,
like
your
star
average,
player wise,
your average Joe. Nah, he's not an A-lister by any stretch, but he's still very good. Do you want to predict landing spots for them? God forbid, we're probably gonna go 0 for 10.
I'm not even
That's
going to try that.
Not a worthwhile endeavor. The way this has been going.
I do want to run a speed round of just guys that have signed and get your initial thoughts on it,
Okay.
how it helps the
Yeah,
teams. It
let's
doesn't
do it.
really have to be like fast, but you know.
Quick.
Tyrann Mathieu signed 3-year, $42 million deal with the Kansas City Chiefs.
I mean, immediately looking at the big picture, he makes that secondary a lot better. Eric Berry, rather. I'm sorry. His health has obviously been in question for the last.
I want to
few
bring up the
years.
point I said earlier when we were on the
Yeah.
phone that like they're the same safety though. Like they're both ball hawk.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Eric Berry's got a
And
lot
I-
more range.
I
but
don't know. He didn't
see
make
the
the team that
similarities.
much better in Houston. Like
Uh-huh.
he just like didn't really
he
stand
didn't-
out
he
too
didn't
much.
He didn't stand out, but he didn't fit in either. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
feel like he's kind of forced into his role there.
And
but-
I don't know how he fits in on this Chiefs team. I know they were really bad last year.
Yeah.
And
I
of
still
course
think
they were
drafted,
without Eric Berry, one of the best defensive players in the league
Yeah.
when healthy. But I don't know how much he actually helps out. It's a good look,
It
like
is.
a good looking deal.
It's on paper. It's
Yeah.
great, and from
But
a
I don't
reaction
know how
standpoint,
much
it's
it
great.
really helps.
Yeah, they just lost Justin Houston and D Ford as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
how much does that really help when you are going to be really wavering on the front of that defense?
Yeah.
That front is really wounded now with those guys walking out the door in such close proximity. So
And there's no one even close to available that will fill in for them.
yeah, I'm very iffy on it. I mean, it looks great on paper, but my general consensus is, I don't know. I don't know about Tyrann Mathieu to the Chiefs just yet.
Yeah. All right. Trey Flowers signs with the Detroit Lions for a 5-year deal, $90 million.
Love it. I mean, he's back with his guy, Matt Patricia. Detroit's pretty much little New England now. You get Amendola going back there, Trey Flowers.
It's literally
what it is. But
it's going to be like like you know how there's Mexico and New Mexico. Detroit's going to come out next year and they're going to be New England.
Yeah, exactly. I like the signing, though, initially. If they can retain Ziggy Ansah, that front is amazing. Just off top with Snacks there, Trey Flowers. Ziggy Ansah's going to have to take a big pay cut, though. His health is just such a liability, but when he's there, he's very impactful. Hopefully they can retain him and really build something there on the front. I really like that deal. Trey Flowers, getting the recognition he deserves at long last.
Anthony Barr, Minnesota, for a 5-year, $67 million. This was a weird one because it came out that he was going to the Jets.
Which would have been great for the Jets.
And then,
Just on a talent level would have been great for the Jets. I mean, they would have created kind of a logjam at linebacker. Would have had to do something with Darian Lee, who was pretty solid, or Darren Lee, who was pretty solid in the action he saw last year. I mean, still with Mosley and Wesley Woodyard, I mean, that's a great foundation, for the second level of your defense. But, good on him for staying in Minnesota. They just let Sendejo walk. That should free up some space. For them, it's just about staying healthy at this point, maybe getting an interior guy. And, to the extent that they have a second-round pick. I know we have that big-ass spreadsheet of picks, needs,
Yeah, I still
cap.
have that.
Yeah. So if they have a second round pick, good on them. They definitely need to look O-line in the first round. If Kirk Cousins, so he doesn't like cry every game,
Yeah.
he definitely needs protection. Got to protect your asset. But that defense is still going to be good. Good on them for retaining him after all that controversy. So, I think it's a good deal.
All right.
Can't say too much
Kawan
about
Alexander to the 49ers for a 4-year, $54 million deal.
Yeah, Quan Alexander's good when he's healthy.
He made the Pro Bowl like 2 years.
Yeah, I mean
He was
he's
good and
very
then,
solid.
Like, I remember playing Madden one day and he
Uh-huh.
was like a 73 overall. I'm like, are they on drugs? Like, I was like, this guy was a great linebacker at one point, and now
Yeah.
I didn't know he had fallen
His-
off that hard.
Yeah, his stock is kind of up and down, but I think the 49ers got a good leadership piece on a relatively young team.
Yeah. Yep.
I think he's going to be a really
Especially a team missing
Yep.
linebackers.
Yep, they just Fred Warner was pretty good there for them last year.
Yep.
Pretty solid young linebacker. The front is a huge freaking
They
question
lost
mark.
Reuben Foster.
Yeah, that's a sticky situation. We'd have to probably dedicate a whole podcast to that. It's a weird one if you have time, really look into it. They let him go to Washington, and he didn't end up sticking with them. So, initially, 49ers, inherently, they're going to have questions on the front. I mean, who do you play where? But second level, the defense looks good with Warner and Quan Alexander in place, and they just got D Ford. So,
Yeah.
some things to be happy about there for defense in San Francisco. I think it's a good deal.
All right, Matt Paradis to Carolina for a 3-year, $27 million deal.
I mean, yeah, good on Carolina for getting some protection for Cam Newton. I know he loses sleep over who's going to be protecting him. It's just the guy he is. I don't really blame him or, accept it. I'm kind of indifferent towards how Cam Newton, thinks of his team. He's going to be, the center of the team, whether that's self-imposed or not. Very talented.
This was a team I liked drafting Bradbury.
Yeah, we both had Garrett Bradbury, who played. I think he's played himself into the first round now, especially
Yep.
with all these signings. So, good
Draft
on
prospect.
good on Garrett Bradbury for sure. I think he's kind of jumped Elkton Jenkins as the one of the better interior linemen in the draft. But we'll get into that here within the next week. We did just quick disclaimer. We did want to get this in just with free agency being what
Well,
it is.
we made a mock draft post combine, and then
Yeah.
free agency happened, and all these
Yeah,
trades
shit
and
the bed
everything
and call me
happened.
Fred. I think we're just gonna revamp the whole mock
Yeah, I
draft and
think
just
we're gonna
do
have to
post
redo
free agency and then like the day before the draft, just
Yeah,
some just
exactly.
bullshit that see what sticks to the wall, But Matt Paradis, it's a good signing. Teams thought he was gonna go to the Bills, the Jets. He ends up going with the Panthers. I mean, it just goes to show Adam Schefter's sources aren't always right. So. It's crazy where he ended up. Didn't end up with either of the two teams he was predicted to go to, and I think Carolina got a pretty good deal. 3 years, $27 million for one of the best centers in the league. It's great signing. Very
he was underappreciated in Denver too.
Yes, very very economic for them. Good deal.
All right, last one, and this isn't because of the player; it's just because of the team. Devin Funchess to the Colts for a 1-year, $13 million deal. I put this in there because the Colts have the second most cap space.
Yeah, I mean when you got bread, you got bread.
Yeah,
I mean the Colts.
They signed Funchess.
Yeah,
Like we figured they would be
Making
Le'Veon, Earl Thomas,
huge
and
splashes.
Justin Houston all in the same.
I don't know. I mean, Chris Ballard's got a ton of money.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's waiting on. I mean, I say that lightly because
They
free
haven't been in the
agency,
Le'Veon situation.
They're out. They're
Yeah.
out, fresh out of the Le'Veon situation. It's just Jets and
Or
Ravens now.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
We like just with Matt Paradis, we know how that goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Could be an additional team hiding behind the curtain, but for now they're out of the Le'Veon situation. It's Jets or Ravens. Jets made a way better offer than the Ravens, so I think he's gonna go with the Jets. Just what my gut tells me. But as far as the Colts goes, they have bread. They probably treat their team to LED lobster dinners on a daily basis. $13 million for Devin Funchess. I'll just go out and say it. That's a crock of shit.
Yeah.
That guy's decent. $13 million. I might pay him 7.5 on a good day, 8 maybe. But big target for Andrew Luck. Good, really good in the red zone. not the best athlete.
It's like
nothing jumps off the page about him. You
this
know,
is
it's
a-
like, oh, he's 6'4" and great. How
I
do you
mean,
use him? He's not a biscuit away from being a tight end or anything, but yeah, funny how that guy worked out. Yeah, it's just, you know, the Colts could do better. You know, I think we're kind of undercutting Chris Ballard. Great draft last year. Obviously, got Quentin Nelson already an All-Pro. Some other great pieces there.
Darius Leonard.
Yep, the running backs were very good in their limited roles.
I
Revamped
still
that whole
think
line.
I think they're waiting for the unrestricted free agents to hit the
Yeah,
market.
yeah. I was to say this in and of itself is a shitty signing, but I'm not gonna count him out yet.
But like
the
$13
real
million
deal starts
on
tomorrow.
an average wide
Yeah, yeah,
receiver
nah,
at best average.
Yeah, I want to see what they're gonna do. I'm not. Of course, we're big fans of the Colts here on this show, but I really want to see them kind of show their hand more tomorrow as things
It's
really
like the
get
meme
rolling.
of the I don't know what it is, but it's poking the earth. It's like, come on, do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get what you're getting at.
It's
You
like,
know?
come on, do something. Come on,
Yeah.
do something funny.
Yeah, I totally get it. It's like it's like in the other guys, like they have to convince I think it's which one's Will Ferrell? Is he yeah, it's Gamble.
Yeah,
They have to convince him to do the desk pop. I'm just waiting for the Colts to do a desk pop.
you've
and
said
really
that.
Get this thing.
You've brought that reference up at least like 13 times on this podcast.
Oh yeah, it's my favorite analogy. I'm just waiting for the Colts to do their first desk pop and really get this thing going. They have a ton of money. Chris Ballard is one of the best GMs in football. It's just a matter of time, I think. I'm not going to judge their whole offseason by a one shitty signing when they have a ton of money and, things really get rolling tomorrow. So initially, shitty signing, but I'm optimistic.
Yeah. All right, and I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah, this was a pretty quick one. I'm still very sad about what we talked about at the top, but
He who should not be named.
he who should not be named, David Gettleman. What a piece of shit.
The Dark Lord.
It's literally like Emperor. He's literally Emperor Palpatine at this point.
The Dark Lord.
Yeah, he pretty much executed Order 66 today.
That's what I was about. Execute Order 66.
Yeah, John Mayer is the Emperor. Dave Gettleman's Anakin Skywalker.
What would happen if he accidentally said execute Order 65?
I don't know. Maybe Odell would come back to the Giants and beats me. I'm just still blown away by the whole thing. We touched on a few teams here, but with free agency actually starting tomorrow, full speed ahead. We're gonna be discussing this a little more in the coming weeks. Leading up to the draft and stuff. Selection Sunday and other news and across other sports. Selection Sunday is this Sunday.
Yep.
Sneaks up on you. Some conference
Making a
tournaments.
bracket. By the way, our
Making a bracket,
YouTube
checking
channel.
it twice.
Our YouTube channel is
PSA.
up. I'll leave it in the description of this podcast. But check us out. No videos yet, but I mean we'll post the podcasts as podcasts. It's late. I gotta open tomorrow.
Same. Two people opening their respective jobs tomorrow. We're gonna get some content as promised on that YouTube.
There'll be something happening with an episode happening making our bracket for March Madness.
Yeah, you need a visual for the bracket.
Yeah. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do because we both don't have cameras. So.
Yeah, just glad to get this episode on the board. Things really happen quick for this, free agency, sign, trade, the whole thing.
Yeah.
For these first couple of days, so just glad to get this on the board and the slew of, news and events going on pertaining to this. Yeah, things really start tomorrow, so stay tuned for more on free agency and NFL offseason moves. That's all for me. Just thank you guys for listening to me vent about Odell Beckham. It was therapeutic.
Yeah.
That's all for me. Look to catch you later this week.
Thanks for listening to me brag about how good my GM is.
This is a therapeutic episode. We needed this.
Yeah, we need it.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Yep.
See you soon.
Good night. Love you guys.